a small video about the pancake oscillator that I'm working on. It's only a vlog, so no schematic will be showed apart from the switch. Anyway, it will be a oscillator that can work between approximately 50 kilocycles and approximately 1.5 megacycles. And the idea is that this coil, the pancake coil, there is another video, there are two other videos on my YouTube channel where I'm talking about it, has to do the job. And there are tabs here, tab 1 to 5. The pancake coil has an extremely good quality factor. I found that in books out of the 1920s where it was often used, and there are many other coils that were used in the 1920s to get a good radio reception. Often in the 1920s or 1915 or so, all the radios were TRF radios, so no superheterodynes. The superheterodyne radios came later anyway. That's something about radio history, and this is of course not about radio history, but about this, say, simple oscillator. The best idea is to use that pancake coil that's here with a rotary switch. So, in that case you have here, for instance, one mother contact and say 5 other contacts that can lead all the different taps of the coil to the field effect transistor oscillator. That's here. And I want to refer to the two earlier videos. In both earlier videos I have already showed the field effect transistor oscillator that you can use. It's very simple, a very simple circuit. It works up to 11 megahertz when you are lucky. By the way, that has of course everything to do with the avoidance of stray capacitors, etc, etc. Anyway, this is the switch that I'm using now. I did not have a rotary switch in my stock, so I searched for another switch, and that was a very kind of problematic switch. I think it was used in the past for certain radio applications, switching coils, or perhaps in a tape recorder by switching the tape head to the end amplifier or the tape head to the preamplifier, switching between recording and playback. Anyway, this is such a typical switch that can do that job. And I have on my YouTube channel and in my books also given transistor circuits with which you can make a tape recorder. Anyway, of course, all completely obsolete now. Now we are in the age of MP3 files, etc, etc. The World Wide Web gives us everything: music, entertainment, etc, etc. Anyway, whatever that all may be, this is how this switch works. I don't want to go too deep into it. It's only a switch, a typical switch that I used in a typical application. So the best is to use a rotary switch with a make before break contact. That's also good, always good in oscillator circuits. Anyway, so this is only a vlog. Consider it as amusement, kind of serious amusement. And well, I'm wiring that switch, and of course, because all these contacts are, say, flimsy, I needed a typical very thin copper wire copper tint. It's extremely thin, but the good thing is that you can entwine it with the help of a say kind of drill. This is of course a standard drill, hand drill driven by a battery, and in the head of that drill you can mount 4 of these, or 3, whatever, 4 of these flimsy wires, and then by pushing the hand drill you can entwine them very properly, so that you have a wire that you can use in different cases. For instance, one of these wires, that's very thin, but when you entwine them, and you can see that I've done it here, 4 of them are entwined, and in such a case you can solder them to such a switch. And of course my coarse soldering pistol, soldering iron, the Soldy King, cannot work in such a case, so I've used a 25 watt Weller soldering iron, and of course there are more or less elaborated soldering stations that can do exactly the same job. The tip of these elaborated soldering stations is often made in a very good way, very sharp, etc, etc. And you can of course also use not the more or less thick soldering, but soldering wire, but the soldering wire with a much smaller diameter. Anyway, all kinds of things to take in account when you want to make such a circuit. Thanks for watching. It's only a vlog. The tuning capacitor is here. The tuning capacitor is parallel to the coil, will be parallel to the coil, and then the combination will be connected to a field effect transistor that does the oscillating job, and I hope to tell more, want to tell more in the next videos. Thanks for watching. Power supply, pancake coil, tuning capacitor, frequency switch. This potentiometer has to give the voltage to the field effect transistor and buffer transistor, etc.